I have a really dumb idea to make something that has no purpose whatsoever, but I do think it could be kind of cool, and I think I might be able to make it in just one day, so that's what I'm going for. The idea is really very simple. It is to take either one of these small speakers or this piezo buzzer I have, and to make a battery-powered device with it. The device would play a very loud, high-pitched frequency that lasts for a random duration at random intervals. The idea is that you would then just leave this thing in a room, and every once in a while it would play a really high-pitched sound, and it would just drive you insane, or whoever is the unexpected victim of it. It'd be small so you could hide it anywhere, and it certainly would not be subtle. It'd be very loud. So there's no purpose for this whatsoever, but I don't know. I think it'd be interesting at least. I'd rather use the speaker than the buzzer. With the speaker I can finally control the frequency, and I might even be able to make it a dissonant chord. That's one of those note combinations that just sounds absolutely horrible. The thing with the piezo buzzer is it's stuck at only a single frequency, so I can't tune that at all. But you only have to run current across the leads, and it runs really simply, so that's kind of like a last-ditch effort. But with that being said, let's go ahead and try and make this abomination. I've made progress here. What I've actually made is the worst sound possible. The circuit is very simple. I've got an Arduino here and then a little N-channel MOSFET which is driving my speaker here. I wrote a pretty simple Arduino script which is kind of just like a more advanced version of the blank script. And then I also have two of those, so I'm effectively running two frequencies at the same time, which you can kind of make out. So right now I'm overlaying a 500 hertz frequency and a 1200 hertz frequency. And in addition to that, the waveform running through the speaker is a square wave. There's no capacitors here, no smoothing to it at all, so it sounds even grainier, more robotic. So just listen to it. It's horrible. I fully expect that this is what it sounds like in hell. It's not good. Not only is it a dissonant chord, I think, but it's also robotic and grainy and just terrible in every way imaginable, which is exactly what I'm going for here. So I've messed with the frequency here a little bit. It's now at 1000 and 2500, and when I do that, the frequency changes over time. It starts out low and then gets high and then continues to change from there, which is super weird. Oh. Jeez. You know, I think I'm just gonna stick with the tried and true method of a really loud, high-pitched sound. No, I don't think I need the dissonant chord. Just gonna be one grainy note. It's still horrible. And the higher pitched, the more louder it seems, which I guess is kind of what I'm going for. So, yeah. Now we just need to modify the script a little bit so that it does it for random durations and at random intervals. That'll transfer the code from an Arduino to an ATtiny so that it's more compact. I'll solder everything together on a perf board, 3D print a little case for it, and it should be finished. Ready to induce insanity. here's what I've made. We've of course got the speaker, and this is the battery. This is a Sanyo 1150 milliamp hour prismatic battery. It's a really cool little thing. I got them from Battery Hookup. Actually got 72 of these, I think. Then of course we've got the crudely soldered together perf board, circuit board. The circuit's pretty simple. It's the same thing that was on the breadboard. We've got an on-off switch, and then there's the AT Tiny and its little socket, an oversized in-channel MOSFET for the switching of the speaker, and then there's also a capacitor in here. This is just a decoupling capacitor. This has to be in there, otherwise when the speaker turns on, the AT Tiny will restart due to the voltage spike. So this is just limiting that voltage spike so that the AT Tiny is happy. Then there's also a pull-up resistor in there for the MOSFET. Everything here is running on 3.7 volts, so I don't need to worry about fancy driving circuit for the MOSFET because everything is low. The output voltage of the AT Tiny is the same as the battery voltage, so everything is nice and simple here. So then if I turn it on right here, you'll hear the horrible noise it makes. So that's the sound. It's obnoxious, which is the point. The duration of the sound is between half and 2 seconds, so that is randomized. And then the pause between those screeches is between 2 to 30 minutes, and that duration is just completely randomized. So you could be hearing this every few minutes, or you could also be every half hour, a couple times an hour. So a good variance there is what I'm guessing is the primary thing that'll make you go insane. So that's good. I'll go ahead and turn it off for my sake. Then I also 3D printed this case here. Should be kind of a snug fit, but I'll go ahead and put everything in there now. The battery is kind of tight. I should have left more room for that. Really snug in there, which still works. Got a little piece of paper as an insulation between the battery because these batteries unfortunately have exposed electrodes, exposed leads, and there's not really anything I can do about that. So a little paper for an insulative layer. Then the speaker will go on top. Then the circuit board will fit down in this gap here. Then the top half of this case has a little area that's higher than the rest of it, so it should fit pretty nicely onto that speaker. Like so. And then there are the 2 holes here, which I'm just going to run these 2 40mm M3 bolts through, which will hold everything together. And then a couple of nuts to complete it. And there you go. That is one completed Insanity Inducer. It's super inconspicuous. There's no way that anyone would see this and think that it's some weird device. A couple things with this is that the switch, of course, is on the circuit board, which you have no access to from the outside, which means that if you do, I don't know, leave this in someone's room just to drive them insane, I guess, which is the purpose, then they can't just switch it off. They'd have to first take it apart in order to actually turn it off, which I think is just an extra bit of evil. And there's also no good way to charge this. The only way to charge it is to take the whole thing apart and then just hold a couple of leads to the battery to charge it directly, which I figure is fine because if this thing only ever has one charge, that's totally fine by me. It shouldn't exist to begin with, so whatever. But with that being said, I guess this abomination warrants a test. Of course, the real power of this thing is probably when the person is completely unsuspecting, and I, of course, know it exists, but it could probably still do a little bit of psychological damage, maybe. It will at least be extremely annoying. So let's try and test it. I need you to hide this somewhere in here that I won't find it. Then I'll just like read and then see if I'm sufficiently annoyed.
I can do that.
Okay. I'm gonna step out.
Okay, I'm sufficiently annoyed.
Your word.
Hidden.
Okay, so I'm gonna do some reading. Some peaceful, relaxing reading. So we'll see if it's annoying. I think the real test is going to be if I can figure out where it is. It might be a short enough pulse, and it might be loud enough that you can't really discern where it is. So that's what we're trying to figure out here. I don't intend on leaving it on long enough to test if it truly does induce insanity. I also don't want to have insanity induced, so yeah. And this is Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. All of Malcolm Gladwell's books are spectacular. I recommend any and all of them. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. My heart is beating a little faster. What the heck? Ow. There it is. I'd say it worked. I mean, I was somewhat expecting it, but not entirely. If I had no expectation of this, that would be horrible. And I also didn't totally know where it came from. I was pretty convinced it was somewhere down here, but it was actually up here. So, I mean, I still knew the general area, but still pretty good. I'd say if you couldn't find this and it was in your workspace or living area for an extended period of time, yeah, it could probably induce some insanity. So I'm gonna say it works properly. If you would like to make your very own Insanity Inducer, the CAD files for this will be made available via my Patreon. I have no intent of using this on anyone or for anything. I really just wanted to see if I could make something like this in a day. It's not long ago that I would see people on YouTube make functional electronic devices seemingly with very little planning, just off the cuff, and I was completely dumbfounded by it. I couldn't imagine how they could just instantly know how these things worked, how they should work, and then just throw it together and it would work first try. But now, I'm doing that. I really put little planning into this and I whipped up a functional electronic device in a day, which I'm very happy with. Though this is certainly pointless, it does really show some growth in my ability to make things and in my ability to work with electronics. So in that regard, I am very happy with how this abomination turned out. That's all I have for now, so bye.